What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Hail Peasy. Oh man, I was supposed to come up with some other names, wasn't I?
Why not?
Hell Pizzle.
Fail Pizzle. Fuck it. I'll do it
That
next
is a
week.
fail.
That's officially a fail. Yeah, I'm embarrassed to say.
We're just gonna run that one back. We'll have to start over now.
Yeah, I know. We'll see you next week. Good night, everybody. Now for real, how's everybody doing? Hopefully everybody's in the chat and enjoying themselves. Everybody get in there. We have quite a bit of few things to talk about today.
That's untrue. There's only one thing we're talking about.
Okay, there's only
Yeah.
one thing we're talking about, and a couple things we're forced to talk about by contract.
That's right.
All right. So let's get the business out of the way first. Well, first of all, how's everybody doing?
Doing good.
Yeah.
I'm doing all right.
Oh yeah. I know you are because you're on the best internet radio show in the world.
No, man, you got to use the radio voice. The best internet radio show in the
Man,
world.
I meant to work on that. I can't do it like that.
Are you not
No.
even going to introduce our guy?
Yeah,
I'm going to
he's
introduce
not
every
going to.
man. Just let me get. I'm working my way through it. Like I had a rough day today. They told me I'll be scrubbing toilets at the main campus for a couple of years now. I'm trying to get my head together.
Wait. Is it the women's bathroom or is it the men's
I
bathroom?
think it's like multi-sex.
Oh man.
Yeah, so it's gonna get the the bladder and the splatter. Anyway, I'm of course joined by my brother Manchest and Lord Walkman and Mecha MacGyver Alex Sanchez. Man, it's actually kind of hard to say. Uh, Super Effects and our very special guest, Arcade Shock, Steve Scott, Digital Devil 4GK. That name is also hard to say.
Yeah,
It's not that hard, dude.
I don't know. My tongue is numb. Ate a
Oh,
lot of
man.
ice cream.
Okay, I'm about to say the drugs. But anyways,
We want to welcome you to the show. We want to welcome you to the show. It's your first time
Thank
on
you.
Super Desperation Radio, isn't it?
yes, it is. Thanks for having me, guys. I really do appreciate it.
No problem.
Except for Super FX. I don't appreciate Super FX.
Oh,
Cold-blooded. But yeah. So we got a couple things for you today. We got some KOF stuff, and we got some surprise stuff that we don't normally talk about, but we're branching out because there's some pretty hype shit that went down recently.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, not just a little hype. Just a little hype. And I don't
Just a
use
little
that word. Yeah, I don't use that word.
Oh, I forgot.
I'm
You
using-
don't.
But I'm using it.
You're gonna use it today?
Must mean it's big.
We
I just
are-
used it.
This is a monumental moment.
I'm getting-
Gibby is
I'm getting
using
scared.
FGC buzzwords.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me.
His bitterness is receding.
So
Excellent.
I think what we need to do is get rid of the useless stuff first.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So ECT happened this weekend. Romance won it. Pachu KOF got second. Came Blue River got third. About a couple weeks ago, Sanchez and I were watching some Came Blue River matches. Got sick and tired of people not punishing the ride and tackle that he always does. We were going to make a punish guide for that, as the other punish guides we've made. But our good buddy Zappelli, Torn Apart. What other names does he go by?
AKA Necro Bobsledder.
Yeah, Necro Bob's letter. He took it upon himself to make the list by himself. I ended up going through it, just adding a couple other things, or just basically double checking it. And that ride and tackle punish guide is up right now at what is it? tinyurl/ride and tackle punish. Yeah, ride and tackle punish. And I think that's about it for KOF. Anything else? happen?
There's a couple more things. Come on. all
What
right?
about the fun bag?
The fun
Well,
bag?
Chris, Pockets, you go on.
All right. Well, our man in Japan, Professor Henry, he has actually informed me about an intermediate to beginners level tournament that took place in Tokyo, where a total of 56 players came out, which is twice as much as pretty much any tournament that's happened in America recently. Apparently, there was a lot of silent players that, as he says, were hiding in the woods that showed up, and they were all pretty good. Some of them were dropping their combos because apparently the timing is different online. Man, that's kind of sad. Alas, I don't know if there's any footage of it. Maybe there will be. Usually they do record these kinds of things. So, yeah. And also, in related news, SNK has put out the work order or the hiring order for 3D digital artist for a new KOF and Samurai Showdown game. So that's exciting. Considering it appears that the new wave of FG games or FGs are going to be 2.5D, and I say why not because that's economically sound.
To be fair, when I was looking at those listings, it looked like it was talking about a phone game and pachinko slots. So, you know, I'm thinking maybe that it's not actually for like another fighting game. That was just at a quick glance and terrible Japanese.
You're
So
like one kind of special son of a bitch. You know that? You just fucking deflate everybody's fucking balloon, man.
so yo man, if you want to make pachinko slots, go right ahead, man.
Yo, I'll walk, man. I fill your water balloon up with piss.
Only if I really don't like you.
So yes, we're not entirely sure what it is. There is going to be a Apache slot game because, of course, SNK makes a lot of money off Apache slots. But they also said they're making another KOF slash Samurai Showdown related game. It could be a new 3D fighter like Maximum Impact or Samurai Showdown Sin, or it could be a 2.5D successor to both of those game series. Both are sounding pretty interesting. There's a rough translation on the Madman Cafe's forums. I'll post a link in the Twitch chat, and you can check it out for yourself. But yeah, so.
Yeah, I love deleted link.
What? I'm a freaking mod. Come on, man.
You
Zach!
are never gonna learn, are you?
Well, you'll just have to go look for it yourself. Well, how else? I'll post it in the
Just put a space in between the Madman's Cafe and then the .com. That's all you gotta do.
.com. There we go. Copy paste. It's the wave of the future.
Remove the space.
All right, and I think that's it.
Oh, dude, I love Penn Island.
You're an idiot. Okay, are we done? Are we done talking about things that I don't care about?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I
Because
don't.
now we can talk about things that I do care about, and that's Guilty Gear.
Are we gonna talk about Arc
You
Revo
drive
at all,
this
or-
discussion, man.
Ah, guilty gear!
For those who don't know very well, the reason Steve is here is because Steve has been playing Guilty Gear along with myself for about a decade now, and he is the only Zappa in America that matters.
Oh, baby.
Oh,
I will
yeah.
bet that.
Ooh. Just made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Ugh.
So, Steve, how many times have you watched the trailer for the new Guilty Gear?
We're about it. We're at about 50 something now. I'm telling you right now. Oh God, it's too good. It's too good. Jesus.
I have to agree. I've actually watched it quite a few times myself. Obviously, I've only been more of like a tangential fan of Guilty Gear, trying to learn it more these days, but I'm definitely excited.
Like when I first saw it, and I'll admit, I woke up and the first thing I saw was Spirit Juice raging about the appearance of the game on Facebook, and I was like, oh man, they're actually making another Guilty Gear, and Scott doesn't like it. Well, I guess that means it's going to probably be a good game. So I checked out the trailer. And
Scott wakes up, sees new trailer for Guilty Gear. This isn't Dota 2. Back to eating poop.
So I look at the trailer, and I'll admit, when I first saw the artwork, I was kind of like, I was like, what the fuck? What happened to my hand drawn cell shaded cell artwork, and my hand drawn animation and all that beautiful shit you spent decades working on, But as I watched it a total of 120 more times, it grew on me, and I actually got more intrigued by what the trailer was showing me as far as the system was going, which wasn't much, but And then of course the Guilty Gear fanboy in me took over, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody does a middle scream when they refer to Guilty Gear. I mean, think about it like this. I mean, like my reaction to it was like, it was like my mind slowly pieced it together, and it was like the idea of a new Guilty Gear was so scattered in my mind that it took a second for it to register. So like I was looking at it, and I was like, oh, yeah. Like sis, they did just have a nice little tournament thing, showcasing all the games. What is this about? And then the voice hits, and I'm like, wait a minute. Nah, that's not. Nah. That's not happening right now. Oh wait, that just said Guilty Gear. Well, maybe it's an anime. I'm getting a little happy right now. And stuff's burning up and brands going away. This is probably just possibly quite an anime, and then that music kicks in, and like I swear, like my heart just started pumping so fast. It was like my blood was instantaneously replaced with adrenaline, and I knew what was happening right then and there. And it was like a beacon. It was like the Lions of Voltron had just woken up from all their slumber to form Voltron again. Hence, we have new Guilty Gear. I was not at all put off by the animation. Like, don't get me wrong. I honestly feel like the character models are a little bulky. Don't get me wrong. But in all honesty, like you said, like Hell Pocket said, like the animation of Guilty Gear has been ahead of its time ever since it was introduced, even back on the PS1. And when they first introduced Guilty Gear, they were 3D design characters anyway. So the fact is, I feel like for it to maintain, no offense to KOF, because KOF is really, really, really beautiful. But like I feel like Guilty Gear, like I feel like this was a natural step for them to go in either cell shade animation or 3D models. So I feel like personally, like it doesn't even matter what the game looks like because we all know who's directing it and that's who's been directing it. So
Yeah, I mean, for people who were worried about Guilty Gear being passed off to a Mori-led team, having Daisuke as the producer should be reassuring, I will say, at least. So obviously everything exploded on Twitter, on Facebook yesterday, and already tons of people are talking about how they want to learn Guilty Gear. And this is a lot of things we've heard over the years. People who will just be like, I really like that game, and I really respect that game, but they don't play it. So asking you guys, what do you think Guilty Gear needs to be accepted, not only accepted, but played by a larger audience with this iteration of the game?
Who wants to take that first?
I'll take my uneducated stab on this. I only say this because one Guilty Gear. I said this in the previous podcast for the other show I just did with you guys,
Yeah,
where
the Fray on Thursday.
yeah, the fray on Thursday. Like the fact is, like I feel like a lot of people they're so afraid to step out of the Hadoken, Hurricane Kick, Psycho Crusher, Blanca Ball, Electroshock, Yoga Flame world that they feel like it's gonna take a lot longer to adapt to a game like Guilty Gear. I mean, there's so many options, there's so many like variables that like to get good at that game. Like Paul said, man, me and him have been playing this game for like what a decade, So like, do you really and truly think that people who some people want to compete, but I feel like some people don't actually want to compete. They want what's most familiar, which isn't a bad thing, and they want to be able to instantly get into something. Guilty Gear is not that easy of a game. It doesn't do that. I feel like they would have to literally go through a tutorial mode, like opening that game up, like not even telling you that you can give you all these extra detailed things, but kind of like how Blaze Blue did it. Blaze Blue had actually exactly how Blaze Blue did it. Like if you had any problems with Blaze Blue, you can go into the training mode and it gave you a system rundown and gave you like live tutorials on how to do it. It's like, oh, you don't know how to, rapid cancel, you can do it like this. You need super jump, these do combos, meter management using your special D button. Like I feel like Guilty Gear needs to do that in the most brain dead simplistic way as possible. That way it can get people into the game. Like as far as the Street Fighter people, I feel like that's gonna be real. Like I feel like I don't know. I think that's the hardest thing to break into the Street Fighter field with people. I feel like that's the hardest. Not the Tekken, not Virtual Fighter, not Dead or Alive, but in the middle of all three of those is Street Fighter, and that's what it needs to break into. And what it takes to do that so much is the only thing I would say is exposure and like the community actually getting behind the game, because I don't really see it's gonna happen any other way.
Yeah, community getting behind it is the most important thing. The issue is, just like he said, everyone's too Capcom centric. They're too used to what they see and hear with Capcom games. I'll even give the same excuse for the KOF guys. Like they do the same thing. We've discussed this many times over the past few weeks. KOF guys are just KOF centric. They don't care for anything else. If it's not KOF, it's garbage. So you have like two sides, like Street Fighter and KOF. They're on the exact like opposite ends of the spectrum. You have like I'll say Guilty Gear right in the middle because from what I've learned, the Guilty Gear players will play just about anything.
Yep.
They will go to KOF. They will go to Street Fighter. They'll go to Tekken. They'll go to Virtual Fighter. They're the most accepting players from what I've gathered throughout the years. They're kind of odd, I'll admit. I've been to some strange ass Guilty Gear tournaments where here in SoCal, from what everyone tells me, it's just here in SoCal. But some of these Guilty Gear guys are a bit strange, but they're really dedicated to their game. They do help people get into it. I've been playing. I can't say I've been playing Guilty Gear competitively or whatever. I've been playing it since it came out on PlayStation. Never took it seriously. I didn't start till Reload, and that's when I actually met with a bunch of people in the community. They started teaching me how to play, and they will help you. They don't treat you like shit. They don't think they're better than you. They help out. Like the one thing that people need to do is ask questions and not just go, oh well, who's the top player for Guilty Gear? Let me just go, stick his what in my mouth. Not sure if I could say that right now. Forgot. Yeah, but I do know that in-game stuff is going to be fine. Persona and Blaze Blue did a great job with in-game tutorials. People can pick up the game from that. They did offline stuff too, tutorials on YouTube. I don't know if that was Arxis that did it or if it was Atlas that did it for Persona. But there is going to be a lot going into it for the game. I know that much for sure. And it's just up to the community to help push it. The Guilty Gear community has a solid and dedicated scene. It's just they're not as well known as most other people. I think the biggest Guilty Gear player is Marlon Pie. Right now, Marlon Pie and Flash Metroid. That sound about right, Paul?
I would say so. I mean, if you would go back a year ago, I'd say Latif would be up there too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Latif as well.
He's sort of faded from the spotlight for whatever reason, but definitely I would imagine they're the three most known. I mean, Marn too, but not for the same reasons.
Yes. And then same thing with Kugi, Broken Tier owner, runner, everything. A lot of people have no idea that he plays Guilty Gear.
Yeah, that's true. Because it was before their time.
Yeah, like Hell Pocket is known. Hell Pockets. How long have you known Kugi for?
Fuck, dude. Since like I think I first met Kugi when Slash first came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people just don't know what went down before Street Fighter 4. And a lot of the games that aren't Street Fighter or Marvel, no one really gives a shit about. And the KOF scene has proven that people will make up a history for themselves. And
Wait, are you trying to say
Wow.
I didn't win all the SoCal tournaments for XX?
no,
Yes.
you did not actually.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure I did. Like, I had the answer to everybody's problem in the tournaments. I was the winner every time.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So,
all right.
yeah. Basically, I can see that people trying to do that with this game as well. But it's going to be much harder to do since Guilty Gear actually had a solid scene going for it and everyone knew each other. Unlike the KOF scene where it was very small, people did know each other, but they didn't know of others' accomplishments. They didn't know what other people have won, what other people have lost, money matches and the such. So this is a good chance for the Guilty Gear guys to do something really good. And I mean, I know I Play Winner will support the crap out of this game. There is a Guilty Gear guy working at I Play Winner. We all know who he is. He's a great guy. He loves him some Guilty Gear.
It's true.
Yeah, the only thing I see holding this back is pretty much the same thing Skullgirls had for it, is the look. Skullgirls had mixed reactions to how just the general appearance. A lot of people didn't like the animation, the art style, and that's the main complaint I see right now with people. It's not so much the 2.5D thing that's going on. It's like, oh, the characters look a bit bulky. They don't look as well like defined in the muscles. Soul looks like he's a freaking linebacker now. There's a bunch of different things, but I think all that will get refined because this has to be an alpha build. There's no way this is anywhere near
But
completed.
well, I mean, along with that, I guess this is kind of in both lanes. I remember talking to Sanchez about this when we were at UCI a while ago. If you give the community a voice, like as a developer, if I give the community, I'm like, hey, community, what do you guys think of this? Now, the first thing that happens is you're gonna get those, hey, these guys really care. And the minute that is done, they get to outlandish requests. They get to this should be this should look like this, and this should be this. I'm like, hey, look, we made the goddamn game before you even knew it was existing. Don't you think we know at least a little something about it? Like, I
Mhm.
feel like it gets to the point where it's gotten to the point. It's more specifically in the fighting game community than not that a lot of players expect hand and foot service on the things that they like in their games. I personally like, and I guess that's just me showing my age, but I come from the era of we made the game, play it, and shut the fuck up.
Well, with that said, actually, I remember there was an article or an interview with Daisuke where he said he spoke to a lot of players about Street Fighter, Marvel, and like a lot of the newer games, and he took down notes of all the stuff they complained about, just so he can not do that in the next game he ends up making.
Smart man.
So yeah, he seems to know what he's doing. I mean, there's like he okay. So Guilty Gear was the only game that actually did rebalance and like just he kept going and going, patching out things that were broken as shit,
Yep.
and trying to make it as balanced as possible. That's one thing a lot of people never understood with Guilty Gear, like outside of the Guilty Gear scene. It's like, oh, why are there so many versions of Guilty Gear coming out so close to each other? It's because they want to make it a good game. They don't want that one character dominating. Like the worst era for Guilty Gear, in my opinion, was when Eddie was just dominating the crap out of everything.
I don't know. I think it was
And
Slash.
I think that was Reload or Slash. Paul.
Slash. Slash was.
Reload.
XX reload, and then I mean you could even say AC. Slash was probably the most fair version of Eddie,
And everybody
but it
hated
was
it.
also probably the shortest lived game.
Yeah, that's true. Like, well, I guess it was like, no, what was worse was it was XX Eddie and Slash. Like, and no, it was Reload and XX Eddie that were like by far, in my personal opinion, the most broken.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, like it was pretty ridiculous how like broken he was, considering like how many versions or iterations of the game that came out. But you also have to remember, with that being said, that we as the American audience, and I mean, and it's good that you pointed that out, Gibby, because think about it like this: the way that they released the Guilty Gear games, from country to country, including Europe, like it was like Guilty Gear XX, Reload came out in Japan, was out for 3 years, came out over here on Xbox with online play, was out here for another 5 years, then Slash, and it was literally like the way they released the patches. It's like they considered that, like like remember when the whole debate came up to include Slash or Reload.
Oh man, that was
Yeah,
terrible.
so like you have to like, I don't think, well, I'm pretty sure there are people that know this, but the credit that they should get, as well as Daisuke should get for updating his game as well and trying to keep his game like relevant, is highly commendable to me. I mean, I feel like he did everything in his power personally. I don't know all the ins and outs, but I feel like it's us getting this game is a fan service, because I don't think Guilty Gear did numbers enough to warrant a full blown new game. One, two, like they had to size that up from Guilty Gear, Action Core being re-released, and plus our sales. Like this has been like a ridiculous process. Working on it from the beginning or not, the point is like they have to garner that interest, and that interest also carries over into patches and redos and stuff like that. So
Exactly. I was just gonna say, like, all your points are perfect. That's what I was thinking also. But at the same time, I was discussing something with somebody yesterday about how with this new Guilty Gear being released, you know, the community does have its game going into the new generation. Because with Blaze Blue, people were split. People were just like, I'm either gonna play it because I like Guilty Gear, or I'm not gonna play it because I like Guilty Gear. And then they just kept going in that direction. And P4U came out, and it got even kind of more split. And some people came back, more people left. But with this new sequel, it really, in theory, should bring everybody kind of back together till the starting point. And what's great about that is like now maybe the community can start maybe running its own events based around that game along with the other titles they have because they have a pretty solid lineup now. You know, like
Mhm.
a lot of the anime community doesn't. There's no real anime community organizer on the level of what we see on the majors we have now. Like there's no strictly anime tournaments when there very well could have been the whole time, but everybody just wasn't playing the same shit. Now
Well, I
they
mean,
have it.
Isn't
well, there
isn't
is one.
Frosty?
Yeah, Frosty
Oh.
Faustings is run every year in Chicago
Oh right, yeah.
by Elvin Shadow, who comes back as part of his Christmas journey back to America from Japan. He runs. It's just a 1-day tournament. It's like the old school tournaments, but it's basically a Guilty Gear tournament. And then they just throw like Street Fighter and Marvel. They'll throw just for the heck of it.
Right.
But that really is, yeah, just about now. I mean, there are smaller events definitely. Team Stickbug on the East Coast in New York has been doing it for a long time now. The Rebel Up guys here in SoCal, formerly led by James Shea, now kind of a loose knit group of guys like T-Lock and a bunch of those guys. They're trying, and then Spirit Juice and the guys doing NorCal Install. But you're right. In terms of national tournaments, there really hasn't been any. And we've had a couple in the past. People trying to step up. You gotta give shout outs to my buddy Tad Alpha Kami, who used to run Southeast Regionals for a couple of years in Tennessee, and that was an amazing tournament for anybody who ever got to go to it. It was basically a 3-day barbecue and drinking and playing Guilty Gear in a huge house. There was like 20 setups, and that was what you did. You just played Guilty Gear all weekend, and they ran a tournament on like Sunday.
Mm-hmm. And that's great. And I think like guys like that can, with this game, sort of playing the cohesive
I mean, think
role.
about it like this.
See?
Oh no, I was saying, like shout outs to Q, David Neverett. He had a weird name, whatever his name was. I went up to Nebraska twice, and he was completely hospitable. And yeah, in Cube, and I'm talking about people can't like that was like from the Midwest to the East Coast. People came to N Cubed to play. Like and these tournaments were huge. They were huge. It even got like it was even recorded in the city's newspaper, like under an article, and they did a full interview with him and everything. So the community is definitely there. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like Paul said earlier, like Morn was, I guess, famous in the Guilty Gear community, but thank you, infamous for different reasons. But they're like, hey, Chris, you even said it yourself. Like, there is definitely a community that will back a Guilty Gear scene again. And like I'm telling you right now, like everybody knows what's about to happen when this game. I'm telling you what's gonna happen, even if it's under my own power. Like it's too good, man.
But that's what we need. We need that kind of hype behind it. And so, and what's great about this is like, IPW will support it because we have two players that kind of work. Well, Paul is affiliated with IPW. We're just the shills. But but we don't have to wait for that. Basically, we have the new generation game. We have this I was saying it's our Street Fighter 4, even though I hate saying that, but it kind of is. This is like our updated classic game that we all know and love, and we know we're gonna fucking play it regardless of how it looks, and we know it's gonna be good because Daisuke is the fucking man. So
that's scary because I never even thought about it like that. That this is like our Street Fighter 4, and this is weird that you say that because I was telling Paul. I always tell Paul, and I tell Sanchez, and I tell Gibby too. Like Guilty Gear is my ST. Like I will never stop playing that game. So the fact that they announced another one, like. It like takes the oldness out of me. Oh man, Jesus, this is ridiculous.
So, all right, Anthony, as somebody who has watched Guilty Gear but never really got into it, what does Guilty Gear need to do to sell you on a new game?
Honestly, Guilty Gear I've always had a really large respect for. I used to always look at it and be like, man, this game's pretty difficult. But like you guys were saying earlier, people are really helpful. Like there's definitely a lot of information out there. There's tons of videos. But like Sparkster, our friend from the Midwest,
Yeah.
he pretty much recently started learning how to play the game. He was recommended Holy Order Soul because he has a lot of pressure similar to King of Fighters and whatnot. But he plays with a friend of your guys, Aaron.
Yeah.
And that guy has been like super nice, teaching him like everything that he can. I mean, they can't get together that much, but when he plays, like he's definitely made progress. It seems like everybody's really nice. From a standpoint of how people would be in it more, I want to say support more of the platforms, like not just from like a meta vision of just seeing how should people get introduced to the game. I think that it should be on PlayStation, Xbox, Wii U, PC especially. I really want to see a PC port. And I mean, in the way that the internet and how everything is all connected together, they really do need to focus on netcode. Like netcode is a huge thing that usually gets overlooked these days.
Yeah.
Other than that, there is information. It could be probably revised and shown up more, and definitely people need to go out and support it. But what people really, really need to know is that there are people out there who really, want to help, help you learn the game. And I learn probably like 90% of the people when I play fighting games. I am slow learner. I usually take things piece by piece at a time, try and focus and see what my opponent is doing to try and get an idea for their mindset. Like I'll get blown out like 50 games, but I'll learn something from the experience. The thing about it is that I always looked at it like it was a really difficult game, and I still say that it has a lot to it, but I'd say it's actually relatively easy to pick up, but still definitely harder to master because there's a lot of nuances that are not even necessarily in the game, but just more in the mindset of how to play the game. But other than that, I mean, you could get to mid-level fairly easily, I'd like to believe, because
Well, remember when I was playing you over at the house, right? Like we've played a few times in Gear, and when we play, like I feel like it's kind of a rough introduction because of knowing the things you can and can't do, even with a certain character. But the minute you get that point, like it's like getting out of the matrix. It's like you get introduced. I'm so serious, man. It's like they tell you, and they're like, all right, man, you can take this red pill and it can send you down this rabbit hole, or you can take the blue pill and be like, you know what, I'm gonna go pop in this Street Fighter 4. And like it's literally that easy. Once you're out, the world gets so big, but it just gives you that many more options to deal with, learn, adapt with, and it actually makes it easier for you to go to other characters. So it's really that simple. It's like you said, it is fairly simple. It's just mastering stuff, which is hard, and I feel like that's the problem on any game,
after learning that for Potemkin, my wake up options are block or read a slashback. I've learned a lot of to just like, okay, I need to play really calm and patiently, and then once I hit the guy, he's got to go through like fucking like 50-50 one after another and just be afraid.
Potemkin puts the fear of God in play. He's like, oh man, I don't know. I was all about atheism at first, but character, I got a few questions. So you're telling me he can backdash, get me, stand up, I have to be out of the way, and he can still slash back? What about his burst? Oh my God, Jesus Christ.
One Potemkin buster just makes you have a horrible day. Just like, oh man.
Yeah.
So someone pour thumbtacks in your shoes.
I definitely think that good netcode is going to be a key aspect of the possibility of success of this game when it finally comes to consoles. But aside from the netcode on AC Plus, which I think we can all agree felt rushed at best and tied together by shoestrings and soup cans at worst, ArcSys has done a fantastic job with online for their games. The BlazBlue netcode has basically created an entire community of people who don't play offline.
Yeah.
And Persona's netcode is definitely passable in a lot of regards too. So I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue. At least I hope it's not too much of an issue.
You know what else I think could also really help the Guilty Gear community is commercial support. I mean, I know that since Guilty Gear was announced, Papa John's was so excited that they have a code out there, Pizza GG, so that you can get 50% off on pizzas.
Yo, I'm ordering me a pizza right
But
Uh,
and I think the thing is that it's not just that people think Guilty Gear is hard, because I don't think Guilty Gear is hard, and I've known people who have come into the game and were hitting, their max damage combos in a week. I think that people get very scared of all the different subsystems. Like, there's 3 types of blocking. There's slashbacks, which are basically parries right now. There's bursts. There's 2 types of cancels. I think people try to internalize that all immediately, and they're just like, it's too much. It's too much. I can't do it. And they're just like, I'll just watch the game.
So like when Neo came out of the Matrix and he vomited that one time, I see what you're getting at, because he couldn't take it, man. It was too much information to process. He's like, yo, I want to learn kung fu, be culinary artist, as well as I want to bang Trinity. But you can't ingest all that at the same time, and that's why he vomited. But I see what you was getting at, Paul.
one step at a time, man. That's all I gotta say.
Just sit down
Yeah,
and start playing the
definitely.
game.
I have to really agree with Paul because like there's a decent chunk of stuff, but realistically, it's no more than any other game. Like, I mean, people also told me that Virtua Fighter was incredibly difficult, but I mean, I do decently enough. I'm not great. I don't play it that much, but from what I learned, I was able to beat people that are actually reasonably good at the game. And I mean, King of Fighters I wish I could play it more, but it's just a thing that you really just have to kind of buckle down and practice because. Definitely, once you learn your defensive options and where you can like attack, then you're good. You're golden.
Yeah.
I think a lot
Well,
of
can
people,
we also?
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Can we also address the problem of some people are horrible, horrible fucking teachers?
Yeah.
Like,
If someone were to tell me, "Hey, go to Dustloop to get this information on how to play Venom," and then you have a post where it's like, "These are the ball formations you do when you're 45 degrees away from Zappa," and you're like, "What the fuck is this?" But it's interesting that you have people like Novril or fucking. It was Novril, right? That's making those like bare bones.
Yeah,
like,
he's at least
tutorials.
posting them. I'm not sure if he is working on them by himself, but he's certainly doing them.
The
Yeah,
guilty
they're
bits.
really good because
Yeah, the
when you're
guilty
going to teach
bits.
somebody a character, you want to just tell them these are the minimum options you need to win. Like if you can FRC Gunflame with Soul, you have your pressure. Can you DP? Good. You have your defenses. Everything else is going to come from that base. If you try to teach somebody, it's like, all right, here's what you're going to do. If he jumps in, you go in with 2H, fucking clash, and then immediately DP, and then you RC that DP and try to go for air throw bait. You're like, I don't know what that meant, man. I'm gonna go back to my Fadak ultras, all right?
Supposed to
be
Ritz
fair-
crackers debate? What?
For people also that teach, I've had horrible teachers in the opposite sense, where it's more like, "Hey, man, why did you do that in this situation?" "Oh, because it felt right." Oh, okay. So, people teaching just based off feeling, I can understand that it's a thing, but there's got to be some sort of thought process behind it. Like, oh, I see that were you like looking for that DP? It's like, no, it just felt right in that situation. It's like, oh, well, I don't know.
felt
that,
it in my bones.
that always like kind of
Right
trips me out.
My knee twitched a little bit. I knew you were gonna swing on my wake up.
Yeah. I
Well,
don't know.
also you like I guess the levels of introduction as well as teaching people that does go a lot of different ways because I know some people like me personally like telling me something doesn't really register. They're like, yo, Steve, you can't keep doing that. I'm like, why? Like, because I'm gonna do it every time. I'm like, well, like my muscles say I should do it. So until my muscles realize that this is the wrong thing to do, but I'm not saying I'm not listening to you. I'm just saying my muscles aren't listening to you. So let's keep it going. I feel like you have to. I think the educating someone on a game like Guilty Gear as well as a game like Virtua Fighter, which looks like paper. It looks like just paper and pen. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't look too hard, but the minute somebody gets in, they're like, oh my god, he just broke all my throw options, and then he sidestepped and did a Zabaki crush frame throw. What's going on right now? Like I feel like that's video competitive gaming 101. If you take that step to go in and say, hey, I want to learn this game, saying that it's too hard is not only a cop out, it's saying you really didn't want to try to begin with. That's just me.
I couldn't agree more. Which is something that people need to address when making information available. Like the novel things are amazing because you give somebody a core to work with. But then once they get past that core, you have to have that rest of the information available. So it's like, hey, I learned basic FRC stinger aim with Venom, right? Now I can go learn patterns. Now I can actually understand what the fuck that stupid post on Dustloop is about. But there's a bunch of instances where that information isn't available. Like some of these games obviously are pretty old. Like if somebody wanted to learn AC right now, you want to go into the Dust Loop forums. There are some threads that are actually decent to read, and there are some that you want to avoid. Like they should be marked as a hazard to your health. Where it's like, hey man, I want to learn Kai. It's like, yeah, did you know he's French and he collects teacups? How is that relevant to me trying to get his guard bar jacked up? I'm just trying to get counter hit setups, dude.
Yo, I'm trying to hit him with this lightsaber, yo.
Yeah, it's like he's got Thunder Seal is his sword, right? It's like I don't give a please, somebody help me.
Also, in terms of learning, Paul, you've been bringing this up a lot in the past few weeks or months about people learning games backwards and just learning them the wrong way.
Yeah.
You want to bring it up right now?
Like, all right, I'll give you a really good example of just super basic play. I don't know how much you all know about Super Turbo, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo in terms of the game and how it's played and what it looks like. What you should know is that Old Blanca is one of the worst characters in that game. And I witnessed Mike Watson just clowning on people this weekend with that character, not doing combos, just knowing spacing, knowing footsies, knowing that if I stand at this range and do this, there is nothing your character can do about it. That's what you need to be learning in fighting games. Not the flashiest combo, because the flashiest combo doesn't do you anything if you never get to hit it. You need to understand the game at a deeper level than that. Learning combos first, it gives you a great feeling of accomplishment, but you're going to get really frustrated when some guy who's not doing combos beats you. You're going to actually feel like you're going to get super frustrated and feel like you don't know anything, or conversely, you're going to get super frustrated and think that this guy's a scrub, and you're just going to make all these excuses why you're not winning, when the excuse is you don't know the game. You need to actually put time into understanding matchups and understanding your character's normals. And if you do that, even above and beyond combo, it doesn't matter if you drop a combo because you'll get more times to attempt it.
Yeah, if you have a solid defense and know how to properly space, you can drop a combo. But as long as you're not getting hit, you're still in the clear. You keep them out. You just poke at them. You could probably beat like Gibby, for example. How many times have you beaten people with just one button in Garo?
Oh, hundreds of times, like possibly thousands, and I'm not joking when I say thousands. Like a lot. I did it to Chris several times.
Shut up. But no, that's something that I'm not. I know it's not a new thing, not a new problem with the scene. But I feel like a lot more people are kind of going into newer games expecting to be good like within a week or some shit because they see people posting tech videos all the time, and they're like, "Well, if that guy got good in a week, I can get as good as that in a week, right?" And it's like, no, not always. He has talent, and you may not.
I think it's like a combination also, which is another thing, I guess, to kind of get back on topic, I guess another thing that combined with the fact that people really depend on the scene as well as a comeback mechanic. Now, people are saying that they think the new gear is going to have a comeback mechanic, and I don't think it will. The only reason I say that is Daisuke knows the nature of his game. He knows that this game isn't like a walk in the park. This game isn't supposed to be stupid easy or make it just to, put on, a diaper and let him go into a fighting game, a la, an Ultra or an X Factor. I just think that the community actually it perpetuates that kind of idea because the videos, 1, 2, they see people, oh, I've been playing this game for 2 weeks and look at this combo video. I'm like, what the, all right. Well, we don't really know how conventional or useful that is. So I'm going to look at it, say nice, and go about my business. But some people, they look at those combos and they're like, that's my Bible. That's what I need to do. I'm like, yo, what are you talking about? Because I remember, like, one thing about Guilty Gear videos, and you can test this out right now. If you go look at a Guilty Gear video, like, I can give you one off the top of my head. It was Soul of America. It was an Order Soul video where it was the same setup that gave you the same damage, but they just had the guess right. It was a true 50-50. The screen would freeze, show you where the guessing game was, and then show you the other option and how it got right back around to the same thing. I honestly don't feel like there's that many videos that actually do that anymore. It's not that thought out like especially detailing enough characters for it to be viable. So I really feel like it's a combination of things. It's the community as well as like some of the systems of the games are so put around the fact that they need people to succeed and they don't want to discourage like new players that they actually kind of hurt the game system and the mechanics overall.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. In terms of, in terms of the whole comeback mechanics thing for Guilty Gear, I think if Gear gets anything, it will get something similar to Overdrive from the new Blaze Blue for Chrono Phantasm,
Mm.
which some people have said is akin to a comeback mechanic, but if you watch high level Blaze Blue, it's never really used as one because there's a risk reward because it takes your burst to use it.
And you're gonna want that
Um,
burst.
Yeah, you're gonna want that. But going off what Alex said, it is really scary sometimes to go into forums like Dustloop and look at a page where some guy has broken down every combo. I have to be completely honest. I don't think I ever really used the Johnny forums on Dustloop because those guys had 8 million combos when you really realistically need about 3 or 4.
Right.
And if you watch somebody like Bleed, the Japanese Johnny player, play, you'll see every one of those combos. He does them. But he's also the fanciest Johnny player in the world, easily, and he just has that experience.
Yeah,
He knows-
he has his scars. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if you try to learn that as a new player, you're not going to actually understand why he's doing what he's doing. So I think really it's just stick to the easy stuff at first. You need training wheels at first. That's okay. You don't need to be doing, the big boy combos week 1. And I think that's something people need to understand and accept that you're not going to be good.
Mm-mm.
And I say this as somebody who's done the same thing. I've come from Guilty Gear and I started playing KOF 13 and I can out footsie a lot of these guys, but I don't know shit about KOF. So the pace of the game, the way it moves, they're going to kill me and they do kill me and I get super mad about it because I don't understand the game. And that's my fault. But so slowly as time has gone by, you start to accept losing as part of learning. And if you can't do that, then maybe you should just play more casually.
Mhm.
Oh, could we do something about the people that kind of shit on your wins when they try to teach you? Because this was my experience in trying to learn just games outside of like Capcom or Third Strike. Was I would do something, I would win. It might be the scrubbiest shit ever. It might be the most like bread and butter of bread and butters possible. And then somebody just gives me the that wasn't optimized, and I'm like, what the fuck? I just won. So yeah, but you started from a crouching jab, so that scaled the rest of your combo by 80%. And it's like, listen, man, there's a W on the screen on my side. I don't want to hear this shit. But
Yeah.
for some people, they don't take that well. They just feel like their entire victory just got shitted on.
Yeah.
And I know I wasn't the only person to be fucking exposed to that kind of crap.
Oh yeah, it happened to me all the time.
And some people are just not going to have that execution, like whether it's at a certain point in your, playing games, or maybe you just can't do it. You got to do what works for you.
Mhm.
You're not necessarily going to be able to hit the most fancy combos every time. Some people are just more naturally gifted with execution. I know I can't do Eno combos. I don't bother.
I think that's amazing. I think that's like they should put that on the back of the box. That's what they should do. You might not be the best in week 1, but everybody starts somewhere. And show a
Right.
picture of like Mickey Mantle or Babe Ruth or Jackie Robinson. I think that'd be good.
So are you guys like, you guys want like another Tomo tape, just to help break down all the
Well, I think
Oh.
that's kind of the thing is I've seen in just the last 2 days now a lot of old school Guilty Gear guys from the Midwest have started talking about, like, hey, what should we do,
Mhm.
to get people into this series, to give them a primer that they can look at and go, okay, this isn't so daunting because they've broken it down in ways that I can understand coming from X game.
Mhm.
Well, another thing, when KOF 13 Climax was coming out, or maybe it was just regular 13. They are 12 even. They released a video detailing like all the jumps, um, how they're effective in like setups and versus like top players. And I remember a guy from St. Louis actually linked the videos to people who was trying to get into KOF. I think that's really good for introducing somebody to a different system, a different mechanic. Because like, and that was like on like SRK front page like a couple years ago or however long ago it was. And it was like, this is the reason you want to use these jumps. This is how you bait it. This is how you punish it. Certain situations where you can and can't. And I was like, oh man, like I already know this. But even still, I went and looked at those videos, and I was like, "Oh, okay, well that makes sense," you know, because sometimes you do play and you don't necessarily know. Well, I can speak for myself. You don't necessarily know every time, all the time, why you do certain things, even if you have full control. Sometimes it's like you said, it's a feel. But sometimes you look at videos and be like, "Oh, well, I guess that was the right decision." You know, that solidifies, makes you feel a lot better about situations. So.
Yeah.
Hmm. Also, I think a replay function would also help people learn because I've definitely noticed that if I've played on stream or have some sort of recording, going back and looking at what I did, I can definitely see from a third person perspective what I've done wrong, and something that help keep you mindful of what you should be thinking about when trying to learn something.
Yo, that reminds me. Oh, yo, that's a really good thing. I mean, there won't be a record function because Namco actually, they copyrighted that. But
Oh.
well, they trademarked it. And one thing that I loved, and I mean love about like the original Guilty Gear was the fact that they had where you can watch CPU versus CPU matches. I would literally clean my house and just set the computer to like CPU versus CPU and see what the computer does. Regardless of how effective it is, sometimes you get those hidden gems of being like, damn, I didn't even know you can do that. Like that right there in a training, like CPU versus CPU, where you can just keep running it on and on and on. I think that's amazing personally.
Hmm.
So, yeah. Now that we discussed all this stuff, the new Guilty Gear coming out, our thoughts and opinions on it, and we branch off into other topics. Since we're on Guilty Gear this episode, we haven't really gone in depth at all into Arc Evo this past weekend. I don't know how many people were paying attention to it. I know all of us watched it. I'm not sure about you, Steve.
I actually just started watching it only because Sanchez sent me the link. I just started watching it recently, so I haven't watched the whole thing all the way through. Like I was watching up to like the Blaze Blue Chrono Phantasm matches. I didn't get all the way through Guilty Gear.
I'm gonna be honest. I have no interest in Persona. It just doesn't really. It doesn't catch my attention anyway. I can't watch it, and the music drives me nuts. I've gotten used to Guilty Gear music, which is by far the best music in fighting games. But Blaze Blue and Guilty Gear were amazing. There was nothing about it that disappointed me. And it's been a long time since I've actually watched a tournament where I was actually excited and going, "Oh shit!" in a match. Like this was the first time in a long time it's been like that. Paul, you are the foremost authority on Guilty Gear in here, so
Well, I'd
I'm
say
not
Steve and I probably about the same.
you're a regular. Steve is irregular.
Oh, I'm the black guy, the other black guy. I see.
Damn.
I'm sorry.
You're
I'm
the
sorry,
guest.
Hell Pockets. I know how it works.
You're the guest?
Welcome to Arcade Shock.
Yeah,
No,
so,
we're guessing.
Paul, how you were paying attention to a lot of it before it was going on and while it was going down. What did the majority of the scene think about it, the Guilty Gear scene?
About Persona?
No, it's the entire event, Arc Evo, this past weekend.
From what I can tell, everybody thought it was a really good tournament. I know there's always going to be a fair amount of people who like that sort of SBO style tournament, and some who don't. There were actually a few names that I was surprised weren't in it, but overall, I thought it was a good tournament. I thought it showcased really high level play for the most part. Thought it showed why Faust is a piece of shit.
It showed why Potemkin needs buffs.
Oh yeah,
Mute this
that
guy,
no
man.
life comeback he made.
Shh, dude, I'm trying to get this in here, man.
What did I tell you about the toilet? What did I tell you?
I'll get the lighter fluid guy.
But no, I think I think that type of tournament is something that Arc should have been doing for years now. I think that SBO kind of overshadowed it, but with the popularity of BlazBlue, considering it's apparently the most popular game in Japan, I think Arc can just kind of promote their own games.
Mhm.
So I think it's a good thing. I would love to see Arc Systems do something like that in America, or even have another qualifier for us. Because I know, what was it, 2 years ago, a team of BlazBlue players actually got to go to Arc Revo, and the people that everybody would know. Apology Man was on that team. It was Apology Man, Copper Dabbit, and Dacid Bro, I believe. Don't hold me to that.
Yeah, it was Dacid Bro because it was at the qualifier was at San Mateo Game Center.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Up in NorCal. And I believe it was Apology Man who actually beat Spark. Again, not 100% on that, but because I don't pay attention that much to BlazBlue. But yeah. So I'd love to see more stuff like that in America. These games deserve it, to be completely frank with you.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I think they do too, and that goes back to what I was saying earlier. Something like Arc Revo was, that's kind of at the level that we could have been at the whole time, but now it just really it really has that fucking that freaking face on it now. Because like I said, you have your Street Fighter 4 and Guilty Gear XR. You have your Super Turbo with Action Core Plus R. And then you got your BlazBlue and your P4, which rounded off, and it's like I said, it's a really strong lineup, and there's a lot of people around here that play these games, but don't always go to the same tournaments, And so it was really nice to see something like that, and I will be watching the archive, if not just for Plus R and CP.
yeah, the tournament was mad entertaining. I was really, really sad that Mitsuru won Persona, but what can you do? I guess she is like S+ tier, some stupid crap like that.
And there's no news on that getting updated, so that might be life for P4 players until they evolve.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do want to say, not knowing anything about BlazBlue CP, Azrael is the shit. He's an amazing character.
I'm
He's
definitely
like-
also playing that character. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's like, okay, what he reminds me of is a manlier version of Yamazaki from KOF. Like, you just see him just absorb everything, just yelling at you and scare. He's ripping concrete off the ground. And just,
see, it's Astral. That's what he does, dude. That is legit.
but it's the character designs they do in the Arc System Works games are great. Like, they're extremely unique, unlike the majority of other fighting game companies.
I mean,
And
think about it. Who comes up? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Who comes up with a character so cool like Zappa? I'm just saying, this dude Zappa is by far one of the coolest characters ever created in fighting game history. That's just me. That's my 2 cents. Gibby, continue.
Like, I was actually having a discussion with a friend of mine the other day about this, and I brought it up to Paul Sanchez and Walkman. I cannot think of one character in Guilty Gear or Persona that are identical to each, or not. I'm sorry, not Persona, BlazBlue, that are identical to each other. In terms of design-wise, move sets, and all that stuff. Like, if you guys can think of one, let me know, because for the most part, all the characters are unique outside of Kai and RoboKai, which eventually became unique characters.
Well, a lot of people argued that like Ragnar and Jin were the Soul and Kai of BlazBlue, but that's just because of their. I would say it's because of their positions in the story, and because they both have swords and they both have DPs and blah blah blah. And there are some similarities, but for the most part, they did a really good job separating the two games to the point where they really did feel like two different games entirely.
Yeah, but also in their own respective game, like just in Guilty Gear, there's no real, mirror characters or.
No, there's not. What the weird part was, people used to want that. I used to read forum posts where people were just like, "I wish there was a male version of Jam." And I'm like, "What?
Unless,
Why?"
unless we count like EX Soul, but nobody cares about EX.
Man, there should be a tournament where we should be allowed to play EX characters like Slash and Bust and Samurai
They used to
Showdown.
do that. Yeah, don't talk about it.
Aren't like a lot of the EX characters just not balanced?
No, they're not.
They're not at all.
It's not
Yeah,
real
it's
life.
pretty ridiculous. But you know what's weird about that? A lot of the EX characters, a lot of their moves actually turned into real moves in the next iteration of the game.
Yeah, that's true, man. Like, I
Yeah,
know
there
Kai
definitely
never
has
had a
been.
follow up to Vapor Thrust until EX Kai.
Well, and plus our Johnny has Air Super, which the EX version I think had in
Yep, that's what
preload or
it came
something.
from. That's where it
Yeah.
came from. Yeah.
So
That's awesome. I like that.
Like this one's okay. We'll keep that part.
EX is like the beta Guilty Gear.
yeah, it
Dude,
kind of is.
Yeah.
me and my friend Aaron and Rob, that's what we always said. I was like, yo, we always like use the player. I was like, yo, man, let's touch this character. But yo, did you see this biking does to Tommy, Matt? And 12 of them come out. Thing ever. Next game, EX Force Break. Blam! I'm like, oh my god, it's the exact same.
Like that was pretty cool. And like I remember like one of the things I look forward to when Guilty Gear sequels was like, well, I know they updated the regular characters, so let's see what they fucked up with the EX characters,
Right. They used to have gold and EX tournaments in Japan.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's insane.
Yeah, this shit was crazy, man. You will be like, you find yourself, it's like that accident. You're like, oh man, this is not what I want to see right now. But I'm already here, and next thing you know, you're like, I'm pretty happy I watched that. I'm pretty content right now.
Yeah, I think it's a nice change up from the norm. Obviously, not something that you do every day, but say for a special occasion. EX, let's go for it.
It should be an option. That's all I'm saying.
Yo, gold Zappa always had Rao. Come on, man. I'm just saying.
Yo,
Gold
soft
Johnny
band
has-
on Gold Johnny.
Gold
Yeah.
Johnny has like a super fast dash that covers half the screen, and Mistfinder does like 90% on hit.
Yeah, did he always have level 3 Mistfinder? And
Yeah.
It wasn't even that. It was just like
Just
it
one hit.
seriously was like almost a one-hit kill.
Wow.
Then you see like Coogie was playing somebody with like Gold Johnny mirrors or some shit. They were just like
Yeah, I
pulling
remember
the
that too.
hair out.
Like watching Bushido blade matches,
Yeah.
one hit, splash.
Oh my god. There's something
I
that
don't
we
know.
haven't talked about, but like, obviously we don't know what the cast is gonna look like outside of Milia, Eddie, Kai, and Soul.
You know who I want in the game?
Yeah.
Burger Sheriff.
Yeah.
That dude is the shit. Go watch the trailer again. Go look at the background of that fucking American guy with the cowboy hat and the bag full of hamburgers. That dude needs to be playable.
What if that's
as-
Old Man Johnny?
Damn.
Dude, it could be Slayer's dad for all I care. If there was like a vampire burger sheriff, I would play the shit out of him.
Vampire Burger Sheriff. Top
I
tier,
gotta
buddy.
say, as an aside, that stage is amazing. I'm talking straight up 100% American. When I saw the Stars and Stripes going in there, my heart like went out. I had to salute. There was a single tear.
Oh, damn.
Yo, did you notice the street sign? It says one way, New York, the other way, New York. Statue
Yeah.
of Liberty right there behind it.
And in the back, there's the Liberty, or was it the Independence Memorial? It's like, dude, you always remember that when you're in America,
Yeah.
you have your independence intact.
Dude, I have to thank Dice Cave for showing me the America I want to live in. Like,
Yeah.
this is fucking amazing. That building where the sheriff building has a gigantic revolver chamber on its roof. That's how you know you're keeping the peace. My building is a
How
gun.
else
My home is a weapon.
You know that's where the sheriff lives if the roof wasn't a gun chamber. I'm just saying.
I got 6 bullets in this gun, and then I got a house.
This
Do
is
you
how
want
we
me right now.
this is how we execute the extra special offenders. Just fire your ass out the barrel.
Out of America. It's the opposite way of New York in New York. It's just,
Just
Yo,
gonna shoot
make-
your ass into Canada.
Make Lady Liberty playable in Guilty Gear. All I'm saying.
But as for
Yeah.
characters, I mean, time travel is not uncommon in Arc Systems Works games. This game apparently takes place after Guilty Gear 2 Overture.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
apparently
it's like
Yeah, it does.
somebody
It
looked
does.
at Soul's Sword, and it has the date of like a year after the events of Overture on it.
Hold on, I have some issue with that because we already know that Overture was in an alternate universe.
Yeah. So.
yeah.
And X
I mean,
is like a different like story entirely.
Well,
Well,
yeah,
that's the thing.
That's the thing. That is definitely the thing. You have to remember, like, they talk about story-wise, like how the characters would be Azuna, who was like a boss-ass old man. If y'all haven't seen him, go look at him because oh my god, he's so cool. And then Sin, who is Kai's son, who's like
Oh, yeah.
really, really strong. But like I don't know. I think it's like a straightforward sequel. Hence, like all the changes and stuff, like to like the characters as well as like the longer hair. Soul having a different sword. As well as him being that much bigger. People are like, oh well, he's bigger. I'm like, well, he's probably just older. Hence, I mean, well, he is still a gear, but instead of getting older, he just gets more muscular. So
He
Yeah,
leveled
I
up,
mean,
man.
they
Yo,
could
swole
really
bad
do
guy?
anybody. Honestly,
Swole that guy, yeah, dude. For in the 10-year period in between the games, he's just been pumping iron like the entire
damn.
time.
I mean, Justice and Cliff finally appeared as playable characters in the arcade revision for Plus R after they were not in the game, and supposedly I think they were dead. I don't know the story.
Yeah, they were both pretty
no,
dead.
both of them. Well, Justice isn't confirmed dead. Canon wise, she's just asleep,
Hmm.
and Cliff is definitely dead. Like he died a long time ago.
So yeah, I mean, it could be any number of characters. We could maybe finally see future past Axel Raven.
Oh
That'd
yeah.
be cool.
Oh, that's
What about that
that's a
man?
completely different character. Yeah, see, I think like, and that's another thing. Like, man, the character. That's the one thing about Guilty Gear. The character possibilities, especially knowing like the history and canon and whatnot, et cetera, is so like it makes you excited just to think about it. Every time they've released a character in Guilty Gear, they've always been amazing. Excuse me, they've always been amazing. So
And
think
like,
about it like, yeah, go
What if
ahead.
you could play as like the the leader of Zep or whatever?
yeah,
Yo,
freaking
Oh, the guy
Babble
with
Nose,
Potemkin
man.
salutes.
Yeah.
What if he has like hella guns all over his jacket? He's like,
Yo,
it'd
that
be
guy's
crazy. He would fight just like Slayer because that's no, he would fight just like Slayer, but he just wouldn't be as strong. That'd be dope.
but I was gonna say like the way Arxis is actually pretty much set the road work for how characters can be released because what they would do is like they would write these really intricate stories and keep the cast a little limited, and then every iteration you get another character, and maybe one of the characters was just like background noise in one of the like cutscenes or was a background character even, and all of a sudden it's a main player in the cast and it's just like, oh hey, I wanted to try this guy out and he's kind of cool. And so there's no reason why they can't do that with Guilty Gear, which means they technically can run this for another 5 or 6 years.
at the same time. It's been 10 years, so I mean, they could just have people that we never even heard of.
Oh, there will be new characters, I'm sure. We might actually get to see that male Jam. I don't know.
Jim?
Jim Cruttaberry.
Why would you want to see that? That's no.
I want to
no.
see a male Jam, but I want him to have Rekkas. So, like, instead of Hapushim Show, he does like three of them. Hapushim Show.
So, Fei Long?
Yeah, pretty much. You telling me Fei Long won't fit in Guilty Gear?
I don't
Nah,
know.
dog.
He get chewed up by the Guilty Gear cast, man.
That being said, I really hope Potemkin comes back. I'm sure he will, but bring him back.
So, here's a good question. What do you guys think about all the characters who had extra subsystems, and is that a potential turnoff for people? I mean, obviously, RoboKai had his own meter gauge and his heat meter, basically two separate things. Abba had blood packs. Order Soul had his charge gauge. Is this something, do you think, that deters people from playing these characters?
Um,
I actually think it makes it kind of easier.
What?
It almost seems like you're playing your own version of the game when you're playing those kind of characters. Like yeah, you can play the characters who take advantage of the standard, meter. You have enough meter to do a super and whatever, right? And you have characters who are like you really want to watch this, your coin counter or your freaking heat gauges or your eddy gauge. That kind of just makes you sort of just zone in on your character and do what you got to do versus like worrying about what the other guy's meter's looking like. And it just takes a little bit of stress off your brain because in most fighting games you got to kind of keep watch of everything, and in Guilty Gear it's more encouraged that you handle your own shit and make sure you're not fucking up.
Well, I think the fact is I think that's a nice introduction to a game. I feel like that's one of the things that makes people play games besides just wanting to beat somebody. I feel like the best thing about that is like those very niche characters that are like, oh, RoboKai with this battery gauge and this electromat charge up and stuff like that. And not even just the regular, 80-year-old character archetypes of the range character, the rush down character, the projectile character, the throw character, like I feel like those things, I mean, perfect example, look at Injustice. Like I'm not the biggest fan of those characters, but the characters I do like, they have very specific things about them. And that's every character in Injustice. They all have their own special things that they do that you have to focus on, like Hell Pocket said. Like you have to focus on those things, and the gameplay works around dealing with those things that your character has to deal with, as well as an opponent. So I think those are like very major things.
Right.
And I think when it comes to simplifying the game, I don't think removing subsystems or dumbing them down for the individual characters is going to be a demand that they have to meet. Because, like Steve mentioned, Injustice has unique traits for every character that you're either going to have to learn or you're going to have to learn to play around if they're not a particularly good trait.
Yeah.
And then there's stuff like in Marvel 3 where Phoenix Wright functions differently than everybody else.
That's true.
Like, people have already been exposed to unique character types. So I don't think it's something that they're going to have to address.
Honestly, keep going, Gibby.
I think it's perfectly fine to keep in the game. I do think it does deter some people from trying out certain characters or trying to just like main them or pick them up. Because I'll admit, when I first got into the game, when Eddie was explained to me, I played him in X and all that. I didn't really understand it too well. Then when he was explained to me, I was like, shit, that just goes way over my head. And then I learned that he got another summon. He had 2 different summon bars or something like that. I was like, what the hell is going on here? How do you control it? Like, oh, you got to do this, that. Like, just the way it was explained to me didn't make much sense. I mean, mind you, the guy explaining it to me was kind of an idiot, so that didn't help out. But, I think if it was explained to me a bit better, it would work. Nocturnal explained to me how Zappa's route and how his ghost system works, and I understood it. I still can't play the character, but I get how it works, and I know how to deal with, or I knew how to deal with it at the time. I do think there are people who, once they hear stuff like this, depending on who they hear it from or how they hear it, it will make them want to pick up a character or never go near that character or hate fighting that character. I'll admit, I hate fighting Eddie in every version of Guilty Gear. I hate fighting that guy.
Well, I love fighting him in Slash, dude. That was the best.
Yo, if there's anything that will ever test your knowledge of blocking in Guilty Gear, it's going to be playing against Eddie.
Yeah.
Because if you can't block,
You're gonna
it's
get opened up, man.
wrap.
I remember when Action Core came out and they had changed Eddie's like his moveset basically, right?
Yeah.
And people were like, "Oh, great! Now we actually have a chance to fucking block his onslaught." It just got like 10 times worse. He's got a pull that holds you in place. Why?
And I think it probably won't change their opinions on that either because, just to use as an example, BlazBlue has its own set of characters that do the same thing. I mean, obviously, Hakumen's meter works differently from everybody else's in the game and what it allows him to do. And, that game has been wildly successful. So I don't think it's going to make them really, consider revising it. But
Well, I don't think there's any reason to revise it.
no, I don't either. But, there's always a lot of fears of quote unquote dumbing down the game or, because that's what a lot of people always think now.
Well, yeah, they think something new is something dumber because like it may be harder to do, it may be easier to do, but most people just kind of they react to change a little skeptically, I guess. Like a good example is with the trailers. Like a lot of people thought that the clash system was being revamped, and I was one of them. I was like, this game footage is showing a pretty intense clash battle. Well, it looks like there's going to be a pretty heavy emphasis on it, and I'm not 100% sure on it, but it looks like it's just like an intro cutscene that they spliced in with the battle scene, right? But that doesn't mean that they still won't revamp the clash system because as it stands now, it's kind of an afterthought of the game. Like it doesn't get used, or it really can't be used that much because it's really specific timing and specific moves that will really, that make it work like that. And so they may be like they might look into it where they're all like, hey, you jump in with a jumping hard slash and your opponent tries an anti-air with a standing normal slash, he's just going to get knocked back. You get a free combo.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, yeah, that could very well be like the intro for Kai and Soul, or it could be a new iteration of the Clash system. Because at first glance, the existing Clash system in Guilty Gear doesn't visually tell you what's going on, because whether you know this or not, if two characters clash in Guilty Gear, they don't stop their animation, but they both immediately return to neutral.
Hmm.
So you can immediately stick out another move. That's not something that's visually immediately apparent. So they might be working on something to make that easier for people who are new.
Yeah, and they probably won't make it so that you're, one frame from the clash, you're back in neutral, and you're just mashing out like the same move until one guy's too slow to hit it. Like
Yeah.
there's that one reload video that everybody still looks at, where like the Soul and the Eddie player were just like,
It's
I forget
Venom,
what it's called.
actually.
Yeah, it's Soul and Venom.
Player.
Yeah.
Soul and Venom.
That's just great. And
Yeah,
like
isn't it? It's PC Soul and is it N? I
so.
think that's right.
I saw
but-
that a little. I mean, I had a link earlier, but that's
Yeah.
if I remember right, they purposely did that in a tournament.
Yeah, they did. They
Wow.
started. It was like they did it at the beginning of their match, and
Mhm.
you hear like a round of applause after they do it, and they just start playing.
Now that's how you stage a match.
Yo, exactly, right? Now, that's not like,
But and here's the thing too. I think that personally, I think Guilty Gear might have a bit more of a chance to catch on here in America, if for no other reason than Marvel 3 takes a lot from Guilty Gear. A lot.
Yeah.
In the way combos work with, the hit proration, just the feel of the game. So, I think it could be very easy for people, at least on a basic level, to understand what's going on now.
Right, and
Yeah.
that's and hopefully that will be, like you said, it'll make it easier for them to like get into the game if they choose to. It may end up being like the early 2000s again, where like people are like, "Yo, Marvel 2 and Guilty Gear are pretty similar," and people are like, "No, they're not. Shut up." So it'll pretty much come down to personal preference, I think, because
Oh yeah, always does.
yeah. I would hope that everybody would be on board with it, because it's probably going to be a great game. I very rarely say that. I very rarely predict that games are going to be great, but I have a good feeling about this. So
Well,
I
I
mean,
think-
once I knew it was like Dice K, like I was like, good game, I'm done.
Perfect.
listen to this man; he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, it's like that one guy that gets up on the soapbox, and then the other guy beside him, like, yo, he's telling the truth.
Oh man, what else do we got? Jeez, that's all I could talk about, other than like the music.
I mean, put like
Which
this.
is growing
Oh
on
man, we put like this. Yeah, their music. I mean, he himself does this. That's how you know he's amazing. He does the music himself, writes the story, designs the game. He's like, look, this is the song that needs to play in this introduction trailer. Like, oh man, they
Yeah,
need to go ahead and
you
do
know
that
he's
on-
super fucking meticulous too, because like if somebody
Yeah.
like does some shit, he does like no, that is not what I wrote. You're fired.
But and for all those people who do have doubts, like about how good this game could potentially be, or system mechanics wise, look at Battle Fantasia. Like that game was one of the most underplayed but really good games like that I've ever played. Like up there with like Rumblefish and stuff like that. And people really don't know that much about that game, which is sad because it's a really good game. So like, even if I did have doubts, I would look to these lesser known games that actually have a lot of the same system mechanics in it, as well as really unique and meticulous character design and combo creation and stuff like that.
Yeah. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if they did take some stuff from Battle Fantasia or their previous games and sort of like sneak them into this to Guilty Gear subsystem, because I've noticed that there are some things that probably would complement the gameplay.
Mhm.
Like I feel like Slashback was sort of like the sort of not necessarily borrowed from Battle Fantasia, but it was kind of like we need something similar to a parry system.
Yeah.
Well, I think I was talking to a couple of my friends. Well, I was talking, most specifically Aaron. He was thinking that they might take Slashback out of the game altogether, but who knows? I mean, it's all up in the air at this point. Like I said, that was a very early build.
And
Yeah, the thing about the new Guilty Gear is that's probably like pre-alpha footage that we saw.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's probably not gonna come out for like year and a half, 2 years, maybe even
And then
3.
it's going to
Like,
be arcade only, which means it's probably going to be Japan only, and then they're going to want to give it its lifespan in the arcade. And this is what scares me the most, is that it might be a new gen console title, where we have to go and shell out for PS4s and whatever they're going to call the Xbox, you know?
all I'm saying is, PC version. Come on, dude, make it happen. It's the Unreal Engine, please, please, PC version.
Japan don't make money off PC games, man.
Dude, think about that. We get the
They will
PC
when they go
version.
sell to America.
Well, yeah, in theory.
Yo, put it on Steam.
Yeah, that's what
have,
I'm saying.
Have a what's it called? Steam, whatever they have interface. I mean, use the marketplace, make stupid hats for your characters, and make money. I mean, it's genius.
Oh yeah, totally. Alternate costumes, man. I'm telling you, that's the wave of the future. When you can customize
Well-
your character's looks. No, we joke about it all the time, but these guys go crazy for alternate costumes, man. Look at VF.
Yeah.
Have you seen some of these VF characters? Like,
Yeah, I mean, definitely with 3D models, it's going to be way easier to implement like side things that a more casual player might enjoy, like character customization. I think that they should bring back RoboKai Mark II also for this revision, so you can have your weird mashup create a character.
Yeah. I think that'd be kind of cool. But I feel like, and I think that'd be really good for like the way they have like arcade, like the card reader system set up. I think that'd be really good to have like RoboCop Mark II back in there. I think that'd be really good.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, just for people who want to play by themselves and stuff.
I mean, or even have like Mach 2 tournaments, man. Like that was pretty fleshed out the way they had it set up to make RoboKai like your own character. It was kind of like how the combat system was in Tekken Tag 2. It's almost they're running the same parallels. So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah,
I
I
think that'd
definitely
be
like
cool.
to see that.
I just think Sega needs to start their what's that shit called? All.net.
All net.
They need to start their AllNet in America or something, man.
Yo, man, just integrate with Steamworks. Everything will be good.
Might
Who
as
doesn't
well.
want the Soul Bad Guy hat on a fucking TF2 soldier?
Exactly.
Just have the headband, and make millions.
Or
But,
heavy weapons guy?
I mean, who knows when it's even gonna come out? It's still probably a long way off. My guess is seriously with Chrono Phantasm coming out on consoles in October, we'll probably see a first build of this game December, January,
Yeah.
earliest.
Most likely they will let Phantasm come out first, and then probably maybe a month later maybe at AOU or something they'll unveil some further footage.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And AOU's
But-
gonna be sick.
But in the meantime, if you're interested in this game, I would advise people to actually sit down with Accent Core and just start grinding it out. Just play.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even have to get super serious about it. Just start sitting down, learning the system, playing with friends, because I'm betting a lot of it is going to transfer over.
Yeah, I'm betting at least like 95% of it's probably going to make its way back to the newer revision.
Yeah. And it could be
So
bare
it-
bones. It could be something where they went and said, we want to make this a true sequel. And so a lot of the stuff from the old games are taken out, and some of it is kept. But
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the characters will more or less feel pretty familiar, and you want to familiarize yourself with your main characters.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that in just that small trailer, they showed Soul doing combos that he can actually do in the current version of the game,
Right.
that leads me to believe that a lot is going to transfer over.
Yeah, and just looking at the current footage, it looks just like a freaking Guilty Gear game. The way it moves, just looking at it, you could see that. When Street Fighter 4 footage first showed, it looked nothing like Street
Yeah,
Fighter.
Yeah.
That's
It's
true.
like, oh,
That's true.
this looks kind of clunky. I mean, it doesn't look terrible, but it looks clunky. And then when it comes out, hey, this is really clunky. What the hell?
Yeah. I mean, like, think about it like this. When, like I said, I had got someone tweeted. Well, my friend Aaron actually tweeted me the picture of the fact that the animations for Soul's attacks are all to the frame specific.
Yeah.
Animation by animation. And I was like, you don't go that far into building new sprites, well, new models to
Yeah.
use the same exact animations to change most of that. Like, if you're going to go this route, like you said, it's going to be at least 90 to 95%. And think about it. The only thing that was really different about Street Fighter, I mean, besides the archers, was the focus system. And I can honestly tell you right now, sorry, Street Fighter fans, new mechanics being introduced in Street Fighter games haven't gone too well as far as Guilty Gear goes. Like all those things were incorporated enough, and not even like halfway as like blackballed as
Focus.
Ultras.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
and Focus. So like me personally, I want to see the new mechanic. I want to see what they could possibly give us new that we have never used before. That's right, predictable. Exactly. Yeah. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. But yeah, I want to see it. But yeah, I do want to see it though.
Yeah. I guess that about covers it, guys. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say so.
There is one thing we did forget to bring up, and I'm surprised Alex didn't mention it. It was announced Thursday, the character voting for Skullgirls.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Alex,
We
Alex
saved the best for last, gentlemen, ladies. We did it. Beowulf is in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. I honestly was in a state of disbelief when I saw it. I'm like, man, Beowulf's in the game. That's pretty cool. And then like it took me like a day, and I'm like, oh my god, it's actually happening. Thinking about all the things I've heard of the mechanics for him and whatnot.
My voice was heard. America, America.
You just get the notice
Let
in your email.
freedom ring.
It's like Beowulf announces the last character. You just start crying. The system works, guys. The system works.
We won, Billy.
Praise the man. Praise the man.
Also, I'd like
So-
to say, and some more closing words than that. Obviously, yes, we're King of Fighter centric, but we're going to be branching out obviously to other games. Talk about
Got to show
games-
other games love too.
yeah.
Well,
I mean,
we're KOF centric, but everyone in this cast comes from a different background.
that's true.
So
Uh,
we do have, like, all of us have a history in other scenes. We know other, like, different scenes really well. Some of us were in multiple scenes at the same time, but we pretty much we can cover everything.
I was
Except
in all
maybe-
the scenes.
Yep.
And then one final note is don't be a shithead to tournament organizers on Twitter.
I think that's next week's show.
That,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
that might
man.
just be next week's show.
Cause,
Watch
yeah, 'cause
as
this
it
shit's
pans
still
out.
going. This shit's still going.
Yeah. Speaking
I have
of that,
a couple things to say. For one, if you're interested in people who are still trying to keep the Guilty Gear scene alive, Elvin Shadow at Elvin Shadow on Twitter. His name, he goes, Bozak is a longtime Faust player who lives in Japan now. Then our buddy Aaron, Milia, player in the Midwest, St. Louis's finest, aka _GGXX, has been talking about this game and the most recent Guilty Gears, and just talking about system mechanics, things like that. And Steve, didn't you play Rudy?
Yeah,
Who won that?
I think we played like a 2 out of 3. He actually won it.
Mhm.
But that was like the only time I ever got to play him. So
Yeah.
wow.
it's actually Elvin Shadow Mike, all one word.
Oh, there you go.
And if you're in NorCal, make sure you hit up Hono Rod for your Guilty Gear needs. He's pretty much our San Francisco Guilty Gear Meister.
Yep.
One of the best Enos I've ever seen. And
Actually, yeah, I gotta go over your house one day and just play Gear.
Yeah, man. He's always down.
And UFGT is this weekend. Big ups to Keats running one of everyone that goes says it's the best tournament they've been to.
Yeah, Keith runs a tight ship.
Yeah.
No bullshit.
I was about to say, I takes no shit. I'm nobody's bitch.
And that's actually Keats' mentality going into tournament organizing, and I love it. Paul, you're going to be there this weekend.
Yes, I will.
We expect some kind of report next week when you get back.
I'm not like half asleep. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll be there playing Vampire Savior, and hopefully this side Guilty Gear tournament will get popping. I know it's supposed to be taking place, I think, Sunday. So
Okay. Yeah. Let us know if there's a stream for it, so we can watch and put it up and everything.
we'll do.
Very cool. All right, and I guess with that, we're done. I'd like to
Yeah.
thank Forgotten Kazama, aka Digital Devil 4GK. I'm not going to call him that silly name. Yeah, thanks for joining us. Follow him at Twitter at Digital Devil 4GK.
right. I might need to change that soon to put my Arcade Shock title on there.
Nah, don't worry about it.
Paul.
Yeah, and thanks to everybody. As usual, I think this was a pretty good show. So from everybody here at Super Desperation Radio, good night and good luck.